activities. I would just like to remind you that you can please note that photography. That would be a great aid to us. And as always, please turn your cell phones to silent or off if you need to say. And please enjoy tonight's activities. Thank you very much. I know that we forgot some tip sheets and programs, and we'll get those. If you did not get one, we will get those to you later.
Oh, little girl, keep you busy. You can hate tea, and I hate tours.
Come now, Frederica. Last month when we visited Ascot to watch the horses run in Derby, you didn't want to go either. You said, why would I want to go to a horse race? I hate horse races, I hate sitting in grandstands, and I hate horses. But I made you go anyway,
And it was horrid. I had to sit for hours on that hard bench, next to that young lady who kept singing and putting her head on my shoulder.
that was only after the nice officer had to escort you downtown to jail.
That's what I'm talking about. I was thrown into the slammer like a common criminal. It was sort of fun, though. Made me feel like those American gangsters you hear about on the radio. Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, you were making quite a scene at the betting booth, screaming, I want my money back! That flea bag of a nag who runs itself out of the glue factory.
I paid good money to see my favorite horse win.
No, you placed a bet on a horse to win. It's different.
Well, all I know is that they said paying £1 would get me £1,000 in return. Seemed like a good investment. I'm not getting any younger, and I'm always looking for opportunities for financial security.
Yes, dear, you can count your farmings later. But for now, let's enjoy the countryside on a nice bus ride.
Top of the morning to you. I'm Mr. Rogers, your bus driver, and this is your tour guide, Captain.
Hello, and welcome to the finest tea garden tours in England. Please step this way and register with me. You can pay by cash, traveler's checks, or if you have credit, we can even charge it to your account. But
Do you have a money-back guarantee? What about paying afterwards? That way I can decide whether it was worth the while or not.
oh, all of our tours are satisfaction guaranteed, madam.
What are people doing in there? We're expecting for very important guests to speak, and you're clogging the lobby.
Clogging the lobby. Mr. Clifford, are we not important to you? Why, just the other day I recall you mentioning how much you enjoyed having our tours originate here. You even said that it brought you more business.
Of course you are important to me. Why was the extra business had to add an extra room? We turned the butler's pantry into our newest guest room. Very cozy, you might say.
Oh, good, Mr. Clifford, because, to tell you the truth, the tours have been just a little sparse, if you get what I'm saying. Mr. Rogers here is working on other ideas that might drum up more business for us.
I'm sure he'll think of something to keep us all busy for the whole year. Heaven knows I could use a little extra cash around this place.
I sure hope so. You know, I really, really need this job. I know I always look very happy around paying customers, but to tell you the truth, sometimes I just get so worried. You know, sometimes I just get to the point where all I can do is cry.
There. Everything will turn out okay.
I hope you're right, Mr. Clifford. I can barely afford my room at the boarding house as it is. I have to do something. Anything at all to just see to keep food on the table every room of my head.
Stop it now. There's no need to blow like that. Oh, sorry, Catherine, my dear. I'm just a little on the edge because we're expecting the Fairfaxes at a hotel this weekend.
Fairfaxes? As in the wealthy Edward Fairfax and his lovely little land from the States?
Yes, those Fairfaxes. If you don't mind, please move along.
Move along, please. Move along. Move along. Jesus. Let's get our registration on the bus, everyone. It's half right up front, so if you follow me, then we'll get started on. Wait, please don't. I see that. That sounds lovely and light. Linda, I think we should go. It would be educated for Miranda. Miranda, dear, would you like to go on the bus tour? No, she'd like to go. It would give us something to see and do.
I don't know, Miss Banks. I don't think the tea garden tour is the best activity for Miranda.
Nonsense, children come too. What do you think? It would be delightful to have you join us. We've never had a child on one of our tours before. It will be quite a new experience.
Or you can say that again.
Come along then. Oh, Albert! Did you see that? An English tea garden tour. That would be delightful, don't you think? I wonder if it is offered daily. We must try it out while we're here. What do you think, Albert? Albert!
Ingrid, dear, Are these all of our suitcases?
No. There's another one in the taxi. We can get the driver to bring in those. Good morning, young man. Do you have a room ready for the Brighthams?
What will you say your name was?
The Brighthams from Fairfax. We reserved a room several weeks ago.
Fairfax! Oh, yes. Very special room for you. Biggest and best in whole hotel.
Did you hear that, Ingrid? We have the nicest room in the whole hotel.
Yes, I heard, dear. I am not deaf, you know. Young man, will you carry this up to our room? Albert, let us see what has taken the driver so long with our other cases.
Basil, what's the matter? What?
Mr. Clifford!
What's the matter? Spit it out.
Spit it out? It's just an expression.
What's the matter?
The Fairfaxes! Here! Where? They went to get out the other suitcases. These are theirs as well.
Really? All right, just calm down. I'll bring these cases up to their room, and you can help them with their other ones.
Imagine the gall of that driver who refused to bring in our other suitcase. I'm glad you did not tip him, Albert. Albert!
Oh, it's all right. This case is quite light. In fact, it feels empty.
That is because it is. I always like to pick up a few things while I'm on holiday, and I never have room for them.
Of course.
Please sign guest register. Mrs. Fairfax?
Fairfax? I am not Mrs. Fairfax. I am Mrs. Brightham. We are Albert and Ingrid Brightham from Fairfax.
Basil! Mr. and Mrs. Brightham. You reserved a room several weeks ago, if I remember correctly. I'll show you to your room. It's the one in the back next to the kitchen with a lovely view of the swamp.
Yes, but Basil here tells us it's the nicest room in the whole hotel.
Yes, of course. Please follow me.
Well, one of my favorite letter calls the true love of gods.
Oh, Stanley, you even quote Shakespeare.
You like to see?
Oh, yes, thank you, dear.
Mr. Larson, was that Miss White I just saw you with? I hope not. I sent her out to get flowers for the Fairfax's room a half an hour ago, and she still hasn't gotten them.
Henry, you really shouldn't worry so much. You'll have to see them. By the way, has that English chief officer there yet? I was very much hoping to catch that today. That tour guide Kathy was very lovely. I mean, she seems very knowledgeable about flowers.
Oh, sorry, old chap. Just missed him. I kicked him out, or I rather suggested not to leave a little early because we're expecting some very special guests.
Oh, I forgot about the Fairfax arrived today. I think I'll just hang around waiting for their arrival. Something exciting happens after I work at the hotel. You must have arrived today. I didn't notice you before. Is this seat taken?
Basil, I can't quite seem to remember Mr. Clifford wanting me to put these flowers. I was a little distracted. Anyway, they look quite nice on the desk here, so I'm just going to leave them there. Hello, may I get some service here?
Sorry. my nose go kerchoo.
Then why on earth do you have a vase full of them right in front of your workspace? I'm Auntie Rochester. I've already booked her.
Of course. Please to sign guest register while I wait for one of the hotel staff. Mr. Clifford, please, to take Miss Chester's bag up to her room.
Apple, that's your job.
But you told me not to leave the front desk.
Yes, I did say that earlier. Now I want you to help her with her cases.
But you told me not
Miss
to.
Rochester, spend last night in service. Please allow me to carry a case.
Do you work here, Mr. Larson?
No, but it's been a little crazy around here today.
Well, thank you.
No. I supposed to stay here.
There are those flowers. Could you see who put these here?
Mr. Clifford! Mr. Clifford, sir! I was upstairs cleaning the room and I saw them! Oh, the Fairfaxes, they've arrived!
I'll inform the rest of the staff and you'll found secretary. Hurry! Wait! Come back!
I need... I'll do it. Quick! Yes, sir.
Mr. Clifford, excuse me, but we seem to be out of toilet paper, shampoo, soap, and towels. I wonder if your maids forgot to stock our room.
I don't have time for this. I'm deeply sorry that this has happened. Basil will provide you with whatever you need. All right, Basil, I am officially leaving you to do that at the front desk.
Basil! Please tell me who this is. Lightham?
Brightham. It is Mrs. Brightham.
Lightham.
Brightham.
Lightham?
Brightham.
Lightham.
Mr. and Mrs. Fairfax, we are so glad for your safe arrival. You have chosen the right place for the peace, quiet, and anonymity that you so earnestly seek. Please follow me to the guest register, and I will ring for one of my staff to collect your cases.
That's not.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Parker. Blanche and I have been taking a quiet weekend away from it all. Happily, Blanche.
Yes, dear. We want to stay in London where we can see fabulous shows and glorious dinner parties. And we can stay here in a little hole-in-the-wall hotel in the middle of nowhere.
Please excuse her. She gets a little tired when she drinks. She'll feel better after a little rest.
Yes, I understand. Please follow me to your room. It's the best we have to offer.
Oh, I can hardly wait to see it.
Here we are back in the lobby. Lessons to Shady Acres, Miss Rochester.
Thank you, Miss Larson, and I appreciate you carrying my cases. Tell me, is this the resident couch potato?
This is Miss... I don't recall her name. Can we just get a few to get register a moment?
Mr. Larson, what are you doing? No touch! I give you no
Calm down,
more
Basil.
money!
Basil,
No
calm
more
down.
money! No
Basil,
more
I'm just trying to see what the woman's name over there is. Calm down. It's all right.
Basil.
It's all right.
Quite right, Mr. Clifford.
Yes.
May I call you Mr. Clifford? This is a very quaint hotel you have here. And thank you again for allowing us to store some of our more valuable items in the hotel.
Eddie? Eddie Fairfax? I don't believe it's you.
Eddie?
Yes. Mrs. Rochester and I are acquaintances from a few years back.
Acquaintance? Is that what I've been introduced to in your memory? An acquaintance? We were engaged for almost a year until you met that woman. What's her name?
You mean Blanche?
Yes, that's it. Blanche. You see, gentlemen, Mr. Fairfax and I were in love and engaged to be married. But I was not from a family of status and money, so Edward's family took upon themselves to find him a better wife. And I, as I say, was history.
Audrey, it wasn't put like that.
Anyway, it's all water under the bridge now. I moved on with my life. Would you like to go for a walk now, Mr. Larson?
I would like to.
I read that in the shop. You here for a weekend of privacy. I know Beyonce shows up. If she's still hoping to marry for money, she's what Beyonce wants to like. He's as penniless as a pauper. He's been staying here for a couple of weeks, saying that he'll get an advance from his brother.
Then why do you allow him to stay?
Well, he's a rather friendly, charming character, and you don't get that many visitors around here.
Mr. Clifford, Oh, hello, Mr. Fairfax. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Brighton is driving me mad. She claims that her room did not come with a shower curtain. I swear there was one in the loo this morning when I cleaned it.
Give her another one.
We don't have any more shower curtains.
Give her yours. Basil, where are you going with those?
Sir, it's for the light tap. Light tap.
Put it in your mouth, see? I don't want to hurt you. I just want to make you the appetizers for tonight's dinner.
I think the juiciest thing is that Mr. Fairfax and Arthur Rochester once engaged. And after all these, they meet up here in our hotel, and she still has the engagement ring. How do you know that? She showed me and told me to watch out for men with money.
I just wish she'd stayed engaged with Eddie, because now she's making eyes at my Stanley.
Girls, did you see Mrs. Fairfax's necklace? I can't believe she would wear it out to dinner while in the country. Who's going to appreciate it?
She's just showing off her riches, but it's all in our place. I'm afraid I'm not too fond of her.
None of us are, Beth. Did you see Chef Heinlein tonight? After the mouse incident, Mrs. Fairfax refused to eat his food. That's why they went out to dinner tonight. Mr. Clifford had to try to smooth Miss Heinleich's ruffled feathers because he was ranting and raving around the kitchen, sharpening all of his knives.
Old couple Brighton didn't have any trouble with the meal. Whatever they didn't eat, they stuffed into their pockets.
Well, they must have eaten the dishes and silverware too. So when I cleared off the table afterwards, they were missing.
I say, why were none of the guests on the English tea garden tour at dinner tonight?
Did you hear? Old Frederica Crump finally snapped and ordered Mr. Rochester's spot, claiming she never wanted to see Bloomington Garden again as long as she lived.
Who told you that, Beth?
Mr. Clifford did.
He's just pulling your legs. The English tea garden tour bus finally broke down. Mr. Rogers never gets its service. They're all going to have to stay at another hotel until it can be fixed.
I like the first version of the story better.
Anyways, I'm curious about this guest that Basil calls Miss X. She keeps appearing and disappearing at the oddest times. She never speaks. She doesn't tip either.
Speaking of tips, Mrs. Fairfax gave me one rotten shilling for bringing her an extra pillow and blanket for her nap this afternoon. So much for saving for that new dress I was hoping to buy. Shh, Fairfaxes, they finally came in from dinner. It's almost 7 o'clock.
That's pretty good.
Are you coming inside? It's rather chilly and the night air is not good for my complexion. Why were you dawdling out there? It's late.
I seem to have misplaced my pocket watch.
Your pocket watch? The one I had engraved for your birthday? Well, you must have left it in the taxi. Well, go out and try to catch your driver before he takes off. That watch is irreplaceable.
Mrs. Fairfax? Well, I've brought you some tea that I prepared at Heinrich's request.
Tea? Heinrich prepared it, did he? In that filthy, mouse-infested kitchen of his, I suppose. No, thank you. I do not want any tea.
No, ma'am. I prepared the tea myself.
Very well. Suppose a cup of tea before bed would be nice.
You're making it sound as if I'm the crook. I think you people could be a little more sensitive. I've just had a very terrible truck, and you people are treating me as if I'm a criminal.
We're just doing our job, Mr. Fairfax. One final question, maybe. I understand from one of the maids, Miss White, I believe, that you once engaged to Audrey Rochester, who's also staying at this hotel. But you both end up in the same remote hotel in the English countryside, all the way from the States. It's quite a coincidence.
A coincidence is all it is, Lieutenant. And what does that have to do with anything?
Probably nothing. The maid just thought it was significant enough to mention.
What does a silly maid know? Can I go now?
That about wraps it up for now.
George, I think we'll let the Fairfaxes have a little rest from their questioning for a while. Mrs. Fairfax, thank you very much for your time. Doyle, what clues have you got?
A few interesting items, Chief.
All right, place them on the coffee table so we can examine them a bit more carefully. So, let's see, you've got a pocket watch, a handkerchief, monogram, a teacup and saucer, and maybe drink. Teacup. The last thing Mrs. Fairfax remembers is drinking a cup of tea which her maid, Greta White, was prepared and brought to her. There must have been a hefty dose of sedative in the teacup. This doesn't look good for Greta. Well, Doyle, put the teacup back in plastic. We'll take it to the lab to examine.
New from the lab. Ziploc.
Oh, amazing. May I see that? Oh, it is incredible. It closes by itself. This looks like something straight from London.
You see how the handkerchief is monogrammed SA?
Yes, it's monogrammed SA. Let me see.
When I checked it with the guest register and the staff list, it was never listed with the initials SA. Where did you find it, Will?
In between the cushions on the couch.
Perhaps it was left by a previous guest.
That's doubtful. At least according to the hotel's owner, Henry Clifford. He claims that the maid's cleaned thoroughly every day. He says they habitually check the spare change under the couch cushions.
No one's cleaned in here since yesterday morning. We haven't allowed any of the guests or staff to go on since then. Except for those with questions, of course.
All right, then. We'll ask each of the guests and staff about the initial essay when we question them later. What else have we got there, Adora?
We have this rather expensive-looking lady's engagement ring.
That's a biggie. These still belongs to Mrs. Fairfax, Chief.
Not unless she has two engagement rings. She was wearing one this morning when I questioned her.
This must be Mr. Fairfax's missing pocket watch. Confirmed. It has his name engraved on the back. Where was this, old Doyle?
Funny thing that, I found it just lying on the table over there, in plain view. You say Fairfax was missing it.
Yes. Claims it was the reason for his absence from his bed. He was searching the taxi for it.
Maybe he's just absent-minded.
We'll see about that.
Is that all the possible evidence, Adora?
That's all I have for the moment, Chief.
Right. Let's scour this place one last time before we bring in the rest of the guests and staff for questioning. Don't want to miss anything.
Hey, Chief, I think I found something. It's a really big shoe. Oh, oops.
Good day, fellow quenchers of injustice, crime and cruelty everywhere. Detective Phil Thorne and Miss Emma Reed most humbly at your service.
Thorne, what are you doing here? This is our case and we don't need your help. Or interference, rather. Actually, incompetence would be more accurate. Oh, well, on the other hand, we're very pleased to see you, Miss Reed.
Thank you, Chief Whitfield. You should know we didn't come here uninvited. The Fairfaxes hired us to the case.
They hired you to the case.
Yes, he said he needed someone on his side. And
Yes, quite. He claimed you treated him rudely and made him feel like a bloody criminal. Really, this is a very important and wealthy man you're dealing with, Chief. I think you could treat him with a bit more courtesy.
Now you listen here, Thorne. We just conducted routine questioning. No one has been treated rudely. At least, not yet.
There, Dover.
That's Chief Dover Wickfield, sir, to you.
All right, Chief. I have a proposal for you. Why don't we see who can solve the case first? Sort of like a contest scene. It's not a contest. If I win, if I solve the case first, you must agree to let me advertise my agency at your police station.
Never.
Hold on, I'm not finished yet. I'm getting all this down here, love. If you solve the case first, I will agree to give you half the salary that Mr. Fairfax and I agreed upon for my services. And believe me, Mr. Fairfax is a very generous man, Chief.
Thorne, you know I can accept money from neither you nor Mr. Fairfax.
All right. How about this? If you solve the case first, I will agree to pay for your departments, all of your departments, tea and crumpets, for one bloody whole year.
All right, it's a deal.
Please sign here, then, Chief.
What is it?
It's a copy of the agreement we just made. Please sign here.
We agree to share all information amongst ourselves.
That wasn't part of the agreement.
Whitfield, you've got to learn to read the fine print. It's only fair that we start on the same footing.
But you only want to take advantage of all the work we've done so far.
I suppose you expect us to share our evidence with you as well.
You need evidence such as that big shoe we discovered earlier.
Never mind.
All right, officers, stop your quibbling. We've got a case to solve. O'Doyle, why don't you show the detective and mystery the clues we have so far?
Looks like you have a lot of clues here, Sergeant.
Oh no, they're gone. Chief, the evidence is gone.
What do you mean gone?
I left it all on the table and now it's missing.
All right, officers, Black, O'Doyle, you two go collect Miss Rochester, Mr. Larson, the Brightons, and what's his name? Basil for questioning. Then search the hotel for the missing evidence. The detective and Miss Reed, along with Dorrit and I, will conduct the interviews.
Unbelievable.
Barely begun the case, we've already lost the evidence.
Is it any wonder Mr. Fairfax decided to hire a professional?
Chief Whitfield, I'll need a copy of the guest register and samples. In addition, I'll need copies of the testimonies you have already procured, as well as any fingerprints you have lifted from the items in this room.
Indeed. There may be some question as to who is actually the professional around here. Basil, my good fellow. I hope you've recovered somewhat from your shock and are able to speak with us now. We have seen. I understand you were the first one to find Mrs. Fairfax after the robbery. Is that true? Mr. Fairfax recalls that you were sleeping at the front desk when he left the lobby to search for his wife's missing pocket watch. What? Mr. Fairfax also recalls that you were the only one in the lobby both before and after he left his wife. Now, you must understand, this doesn't look good for you.
No, like it? My mother gave it to me for my birthday.
Ah, you must be Miss Rochester?
Yes, who are you?
I'm Detective Thornton's personal assistant. I'll need to ask you a few questions. But your whereabouts at 11 last night?
I was sleeping in my room. I woke up when I heard the commotion. Maids were running around screaming, "Mrs. Fairfax is dead."
Oh, I see. I understand you have a previous connection with the Fairfaxes.
Eddie, or Edward, and I were once engaged, if that's what you mean. I had never met Blanche.
But you knew of her.
Of course I knew of her. Edward broke off our engagement because of her.
Sounds like a bit of resentment there.
Of course I was resentful then, but that was 10 years ago.
How is it that you ended up at the same hotel all the way across the ocean? I mean, Shady Acres is barely a pinpoint on the map.
A mere coincidence, really. I'm on a vacation from my secretarial position, and I happen to like the out-of-the-way places. You might want to ask Edward what possessed him to bring his wife here. She's bored to tears. I wouldn't be surprised if she staged the whole robbery herself to relieve her of the boredom.
I'll make sure to tell her you suggested it.
Look, if you really want to be helpful, you can help me find my diamond ring. It's been missing since this morning.
Oh, Mr. Lawson, Lieutenant Thorne, I need to ask you.
Say no more, dear fellow. I know I'm here. Ask away.
Where were you around till 11 o'clock last night?
I was in my room, reading a good book, smoking my pipe.
You don't retire early then?
Not usually now.
I understand from Hotel Zelman that you are a regular guest here at Shady Acres. You haven't seemed to be taking up a couple of visits.
I wouldn't like it here. It's quiet and out of the way.
Having stayed at Shady Acres several weeks, you would be very familiar with the hotel staff's routines and all the in and outs of things, wouldn't you?
Are you saying, Lieutenant, that my intimate knowledge of the hotel staff, the hotel's goings, makes me likely candidate for theft?
I understand that you're in a bit of a financial bind. Mr. Clifford tells me you cannot pay your hotel bill.
I'm waiting for an advance from my brother.
Albert English Brighton, I presume? I'm Detective Philip Thornton. How do you do? Very nice to meet you. Are you enjoying your stay here at Shady Acres?
Oh, yes, Detective. Albert, wasn't it nice of him to ask about our stay at the hotel?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was just admiring that lovely painting over there. Don't you think that's a lovely painting, Ingrid?
Oh, yes. It is a lovely painting. The colours would do very nicely on a flat. I wonder
Mr. and Mrs. Brighton, I pride myself on being an excellent judge of character. And between you and me, you are the least likely suspects in the entire hotel. However, we must go through the motions of questioning everybody. So where were you last night at 11 o'clock?
We went to bed at 8 o'clock, as usual, Detective.
That's good enough for me. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Chief, shall I gather the rest for interviewing?
Yes, go ahead.
Did you see that? Thorne, like, that was a minute question you had on the cover. You're asking me about my question.
Hello, I'm Beth Morgan, and this is the meeting hall.
Miss Morgan, Miss Crawford, please come chat to Miss Reed and me. We'd love to ask you a question. First of all, do you like working here? Are you well paid?
Well enough, I suppose.
The hotel's undergone some financial difficulties. We haven't gotten rates in a couple of years.
Yes. That's when Mr. Clifford started his advertising campaign to promote Shady Acres. He even started writing to wealthy and famous people, personally inviting them to stay at the hotel.
Is that how the Fairfaxes ended up here? Yes, they were the only ones who responded to his letter.
You're next.
Thorne, and we'll interview these two together.
Work together? Oh, that's quite amiable of you, Whitfield.
It has nothing to do with being amiable. I've seen your interviewing skills, Thorne. Miss White and Hamlet, how much was your last name?
None.
Miss White, Mrs. Fairfax remembers that you brought us some tea last night, and she never recalled anything after that. We believe someone slipped a strong dose of sedative into the tea.
But by making the tea, I was only following Hannah's orders.
I didn't instruct you to make tea for that woman. Why would I do that? She refused to eat any of my food.
You left the tea and the teacup and the note out. And the note instructed me to make tea for her when she returned home from dinner. It said it was intended as a peace offering.
The only peace I would offer this woman is a peace of my mind.
He sounds good to me. Fierce contempt for the victim.
So, Hamlet, you deny writing that note?
Strong.
All right, thanks to you both for your cooperation. Dorrit, are you finished here?
Oh, yes, Chief. Thank you for your time.
Miss Reed, you have a copy of the guests and staff registers there. Have we questioned everybody?
All but one, who signs her name with an X.
X, eh? Dorrit, see if you can go and find this mysterious X character. Oh, and while you're at it, round up those tea gardens first. Right.
Chief, we caught these two sneaking out that door.
We also found more than our missing evidence. Look.
You've been quite busy, haven't you? Did you happen to find any diamond necklaces among all this junk?
Not yet, but we're still looking.
Right.
Chief, Basil said he stole Miss X leaving the hotel about an hour ago.
Oh, great. Just when our busy evidence is up, one of our suspects disappeared. What else could go wrong today?
I quit. I get no appreciation around here. Miss Fairfax keeps sending back my food with instructions and insulting me. I'm through.
Henry, you can't quit now. We were gonna find a culprit on short notice.
I figured out that.
Eh?
Everybody, lunch ready.
All of us go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through town. The wheels on the bus go open and shut, open and shut, open and shut. So we'll.
It appears that something exciting happened while we were away. Tell me, is that so?
Oh, what a day, what a day. First we find our evidence, then we lose it. And that thorn in the flesh Thornton arrives and gets in our way. We question the suspects and else seem to have some kind of motive. One of our suspects disappears, Mr. X is still missing. Miss X, I should say. That nice elderly couple turns out to be more than just a pair of bloody thieves. Petty thieves. There they are. And finally, a tea garden tour arrives to complicate the whole matter.
Oh, hey, Chief. Are you coming to the pub with us to discuss the case? I want to figure this one out before that Millie Thornton does.
Right, I'll be there in just a minute.
All right.
Excuse me. You there in the audience? You've seen everything. You're like the best witnesses I could ever have. You've seen everything's gone. Could I ask you a couple of questions that would help me with my case solving, might say? Right, thanks. Who did it? I'm sorry, I can't quite see. Does anyone have any idea who might have done it? Yes? Yeah, all right. Well, in that case, I think I can say yes, sir.
Miss X.
You think Miss X did? Why do you think Miss X did?
She's missing.
She was missing. That's very good, sir. All right, take a note. Does anyone, what did it look like? 'Cause right now, all we know is that a necklace was stolen. That's it. What happened? Yes.
The person was wearing white gloves.
The person was wearing white gloves. That's how the necklace was stolen.
Yeah, we didn't do it.
So, how do white gloves steal a necklace? No fingerprints. I would like to understand how a pair of empty white gloves steal a necklace. That would be very helpful. Does anyone have any other ideas? Yes.
Someone was behind the couch with the
white gloves and they reached up and took the necklace off.
Oh, someone was behind the couch and they reached up with their white gloves and they took the necklace.
Correct.
Could you see anything besides the white gloves? No. Yes.
They had long, skinny arms.
Long, skinny arms. What exactly do you mean by long, skinny arms?
I don't know, they were long and skinny.
So were they male long, skinny arms or female
No, I
long?
think they were female,
You think they were female long, skinny arms?
but I'm not sure.
Right. So, what else? I mean, did you see any, moving on a little bit, did you see any suspicious activity among any? I mean, our good man over here mentioned mixed.
Because she really would like to be doing anything else. Probably she had money.
So she needed money.
Terrible job. She really needed money.
You know, you have to handle this with all of it. Most people will take it. Yes?
Someone put pills in the tea, and when the girl drank it, that's when, I don't know who took the necklace off.
All right, thanks. Yes, sir.
I believe it's an insurance scam.
Why do you say that?
Because what's easier than to insure $1 million necklace than to arrange for it to be stolen?
That's a very good idea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've given me a lot to think about. We're going to have a quick 10-minute intermission right now. I believe that you were handed tickets at the beginning of the show. Is that correct? If you wouldn't mind looking over that and circulating with the people you believe committed this, that would be a great help to me. My officers will come around at the end of the intermission and collect them from you. However, there's one more thing I'd like to say. If any of you would need a little bit more to go on to formulate an opinion, I would be more than happy to bring out some of the suspects so you yourself can question them because you know why questions are asked. Then. So, thank you very much. We'll have a short 10-minute break, and I will see you all a little bit later. Well, we're still working on it. Pretty closer. But was there any one in particular who you would like to ask a couple of questions about? Yes.
Beth Morgan, is that her name?
Yes. Is that the name? Anyone else? Okay. Yes.
Miss White.
I will get it for you in a little bit. All right.
Miss Word.
Further. These people are in the meeting. They'd like to ask you a couple of questions on the law.
Okay. Good work. Yes. Are you happily married?
Yes.
You are. This is the last time you saw.
I read 9 years ago.
9 years ago, you saw a few insurance.
Yeah.
No. And the necklace was insured, correct?
Correct.
Your missing watch was found in that room. Do you have any idea how that watch got back in the room when you went to the taxi to find it?
No.
No idea. That's it.
All right, thanks, sir. Thank you very much. Ladies, these are very nice people. I've got a question about what went on the night of the ball.
You said that you're not very well paid. Did you want the necklace money?
Money, yes. But there's no reason why I want to steal such a thing.
Is that it? I'm sorry. Yes.
You usually manage to find a lot of the odds and ends. I mean, you sure you should be able to find that and just grab it or whatever? Hide behind the couch. You know this so well.
You
Like,
I don't.
We find things, but that's not stealing. Stealing is something different. Everything that we find, it gets immediately turned to Mr. Clifford.
And that was around her neck. That's not exactly finding something.
Any other questions for these ladies? Yes?
They were not like, they didn't like her.
Did you say that you did not like Miss Rochester? Miss Rochester, not Miss Rochester. Miss Fairfax.
Fairfax, do you mean? Yeah. Well, I said I wasn't too fond of her, but I'm not a thief. You must understand. None of us are fond of her because she's rude and won't eat Heimlich's food, which, that's not good.
It's never good when you're cooked with
Especially
No.
when he has a knife in his hand.
Number one rule, never upset the cook. Yes?
Since you work here, how much room would you say is behind the couch?
It's quite tight. Well, enough to fit one person, but it'd be a bit of a squeeze.
Anything else? Yes.
Do you know the other maid very well, and do you like her?
Oh, Greta. Yes, we're all close friends. We've been working here for 3 years. We know each other very well.
We all started together. We've been here together for 3 years. Greta would never steal anything. No.
Yes.
Have you ever stolen anything before? No. I'm not a thief, as I have said before. Stealing is awful.
And then you thief?
No, never.
Have you ever stolen from your sister?
I actually do not have
Well, there you have it then. Let's go. Ladies, thank you very much. Are there any other suspects that you would like to question?
Rochester.
What?
Rochester.
Rochester. Anyone else? Thank you. Frederica? Frederica? Yes. Sorry. Yes. Could you press Frederica? Miss Rochester, these nine ladies and gentlemen would like to ask you a question about technology. Yeah.
Is that a peacock feather in your hair?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic, thank you.
You still have feelings for Edward?
No, not at all.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
10 years ago, he.
Can you see your arms? Do you have any idea how your missing engagement ring got down into the room?
I haven't an idea. I was sitting on the couch, maybe it took off.
Can we see your arms again?
Are there any other questions first?
Right here.
Right.
Right here.
Right there. Yes.
Do you own any white gloves?
Well, I think that every woman owns a pair of white gloves, so yes, I do. And I wear them, out to dinner. On dates.
Yes.
Would you be big enough to fit behind the couch?
Why? That would be a peculiar thing to do.
I think you mean, would she be small enough? Yes.
Do you feel that you deserve the necklace?
Well, if I had married Edward, of course I would, but not at all. Obviously, we are not engaged anymore.
Are there any questions? Yes.
Do you have any experience climbing on couches?
Well, when I was 2, maybe. I don't make a regular habit of it. I don't do it at all.
Really?
Wrong woman, why would I climb on couches?
No reason. Are there any other questions?
Hi, Brian.
Yes.
What is it you do for a living? You're
I'm a secretary.
a secretary. And you could have married this really wealthy man, but now, how much do you earn a year?
It varies. I get raises sometimes, so I can't really say the exact.
Did it ever go on vacation a lot?
Not a
a lot, but I like it when I can. I go maybe once every other year, once every year occasionally.
Is that a real diamond bracelet you're wearing?
No, it's fake.
By any chance, are you a secretary for an insurance company?
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Rochester. Ms. Tompkins?
Yes.
These, my ladies and gentlemen, would like to ask a couple of questions about what happened.
I was wondering, you mentioned you were incarcerated. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Could I ask why?
Well, I suppose I was a bit of a fuss when my horse lost.
Is that the only time you were incarcerated?
Yes.
No.
How much money did you lose in your horse?
I only put in £1.
Unfortunately, though, that £1 cost the horse racing thing £3,000 in damages caused by this angry woman. Why she ended up in jail, unfortunately. Anything else? Yes.
Did you see the necklace?
No, I did not.
Do you have white gloves?
No, I don't have white gloves.
Can you hold up your arms?
Anything else? Yes.
Are you hiding anything underneath your lovely turban thing?
Just my gray hair.
Yes.
Do you feel relaxed about being at this hotel?
Not really, no.
Why?
I'd rather be back at home with Patricia.
What makes you uncomfortable about this hotel?
I don't like hotels, I don't like service. But she made me go anyway.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other suspects that you'd like to question? Yes.
Miss X.
Miss X. I'll gladly fetch her for you, young man. Anybody else?
Henry Clifford.
Would you like to question Henry Clifford? Yes. Or my officer. Yes. Oh yes. Mr. Clifford, are these people like to ask a couple of questions about the robbery that happened at your hotel? Yes.
Mr. Clifford, is your business in jeopardy?
Slightly.
Fine.
And why have you been inviting wealthy people to come and stay? Is this the only couple that has accepted your invitation?
Yes.
And could you go back to the question of why you invited them? Why did you send invitations?
Well, I don't get that many guests to stay at my hotel, so I like to invite people.
How long in advance did you know the Fairfaxes were coming to your hotel?
A few weeks.
A few weeks.
And could you hold up your arms?
When you heard that they were coming, did you know that she would bring you your diamond necklace? No.
Maybe you don't.
Would any other guest have known that the Fairfaxes were coming 3 weeks in advance?
Yes.
Such as? Audrey.
If my time I did inform my dad, but that's it.
All right, yes?
Have you ever met Miss X?
Yeah?
Have you ever stolen anything?
All right. So, Unfortunately, one of my assistants just informed me that Miss X is unavailable. She is not in the vicinity at this time. And I'm very sorry, but I have to go along with my assistants and try to unravel back the technicalities of this case. If you have not turned in your tip sheet, my officers will be coming around to collect them. If you would please hand them over. Great help to me and to my officers. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
I couldn't help but overhearing that you were sharing some information with my good friend. I was wondering if it weren't too much trouble if I could keep your collective brain, as it were. So, frankly, between you and me, however good I may be at this whole detective business, it is extremely difficult to narrow down suspects, as it were. So, however talented I may be at everything I do, I still have a problem with actually figuring out who is responsible for it. So I was wondering if perhaps any of you have any clear notions of who is responsible. I'm not looking for evidence or anything of that kind. I'm just looking for clear suspects.
Can we ask you a question, sir? Do you have a secretary?
Do I have a secretary? Yes, I do.
Do you work at a law office?
I'm a detective. Any further questions? Yes, Susan.
How are we not to know that you're not an insurance investigator?
The insurance?
Yes.
Well, surely you can see that by everything I do, I know exactly what I'm doing. Obviously, I've been trained as a detective. If that is not obvious already, I don't know what kind of a person you are. Yes, sir.
Were you a pirate in a past life?
No, I don't seem to recall anything of that nature. Yes.
What are you doing? Wasting time? Pursuing a false lead? Developing ridiculous theories? Come on, we have a case to solve. Unless you'd rather I continue the investigation myself, I certainly do seem to do all the work myself. I'm beginning to think this agency should be called Emma Reed Agency. I do rather like the name of that.
Emma, love. Sorry about that. I suppose I'd better see if I can patch things up with Emma. So I have further questions for now. Thank you.
Imagine someone at this hotel stealing a valuable necklace. Martha, don't find the furniture. That was you. It's disturbing to think it could be steal her mother. The police ruled out that couple of the Brightons, and they didn't find the necklace among the other stolen items. Well, at least we weren't here when that happened. I mean, don't you understand? We all could have been under suspicion too. See now, Frederick, there's another good reason for going on that tour. We missed out on being questioned by the police.
At least it would have been more exciting than looking at flowers.
Missed all the excitement here.
Come on, Miss Bronte, the coal was not that bad. You have to admit, the food was pretty good.
But speaking of food, reminded me elsewhere for Henry Harris, the new chef. Dinner was awful.
Everybody in the dining room before I said dessert, so I bring it to you. Yeah.
No, thank you, Basil. Oh, no, Basil. There's something, but I can't anymore. Thank you.
Edward, dear, I want to leave this hotel.
Come on, Strong. How many times do I have to tell you we can't back into the hotel until Detective Thornton is able to solve the case for us.
Stay here. So that you can steal something else from me?
I promise you, it's all over, I'll take you someplace else.
In the meantime, I'll probably die of
Mr. and Mrs. Fairfax. There you are. Well, it's such a happy day with the police and all. I probably had a chance to see how you were doing. Please consider the rest of the stay as on the house.
what's a bargain?
That's very kind of you. Thank you, Henry. Blanche needs a little bit of fresh air, so we were going on an evening stroll. Oh, come along, then.
Miss X. There you are. The police and that detective were looking for you.
I didn't want to get involved.
We were all involved. It looked mighty suspicious when you left right when it came to your turn to be questioned.
All will be revealed in good time.
Mr. Clifford, sir, go gather all the guests in your cell. I've solved the case.
Where's your assistant, Miss Reed?
Well, she and I had a little disagreement about who was actually responsible for the theft, so she quit. She's starting up her own detective agency, but between you and me, she'll never survive.
I see. I'll go collect my staff and our guests. I guess I don't need to ask any of your tea garden tourists to join us, unless it's one of them who's implicated in the theft.
Of course not. What do you take me for? A fool? Where did you disappear to all afternoon?
That's my business.
Well, I can make it mine. You didn't show up for questioning this afternoon. Perhaps my thief had an accomplice. That would be it. Gather round, everyone, and listen to the genius of Philip Thornton as he explains the mystery of the stolen necklace. It was easy. Just so you know, the police and I struck a deal this morning to see who could solve the case first. As you will testify to them, I was the first one here to explain the solution to you. Therefore, I win the contest. I have brochures and posters to advertise my agency. If in the future any of you find you need my services.
Thornton, get with it. We're all anxious to hear what you found.
It was Basil.
Basil!
Don't act so surprised, Basil. It's always the bell who's the tea. Or is it the butler? Well, no matter. Hasn't it struck you people as odd that Basil is clearly a native of Timbuktu, yet he bears a quintessentially British name?
We just call him Basil because we can't pronounce his real name. Basil.
What is his real name?
I told you we can't pronounce it.
Well, at any rate, Basil is the mastermind behind the plot to steal Mrs. Fairfax's precious necklace.
Basil!
I'd like to know how he did it.
I'm getting to that. According to your testimonies, you were all in bed at 11 o'clock. But Basil admitted he was on late shift at the front desk.
Basil.
He was the only one in the room with Mrs. Fairfax the whole time. There are 5 witnesses who have testified to this. Mr. and Mrs. Fairfax, as well as the 3 maids. He only pretended he was asleep, waiting for Mrs. Fairfax to drink the tea that he had laced with a sedative. Then he crept behind her and stole her necklace.
I knew it all along. Sneaky little bellhop. Did you find my necklace, detective?
Well, actually, as a matter of fact, no, not yet. But I think I know where we will find it. Come on, Basil.
Easily. Well, I'm glad that's over.
Me too. Imagine the little bellhop guy being a crook.
I don't believe it for a moment. I've known Basil for 3 years and he would never do such a thing. I agree with you, Miss White. Thank you, Officer Black.
Basil isn't guilty. As usual, Thornton has all the facts mixed up. It was a tough case to solve, but we finally cracked it.
We were able to narrow down our list of suspects once we searched the writings. We realized that Well, they had stolen just about everything else in the hotel, but they hadn't stolen Mrs. Fairfax's necklace.
We retrieved all missing evidence and recommended that Albus and Ingrid get some treatment for their compulsive behavior.
Then, we examined the testimonies we had taken for any motives we could find. Initially, we looked at financial need as a motive.
This motive originally pointed to Mr. Henry Clifford because of his struggling hotel business, as well as Stanley Larson because of his rushing financial debt. This motive might also apply to any of the hotel staff who had been poorly paid for several years.
But then, we looked at other possible motives for this crime, motives such as jealousy and resentment, for example. We also examined a coincidence that was just too unusual to ignore.
The coincidence that Audrey Rochester and Edward Fairfax, formerly engaged, both in the United States, would end up in the same hotel in England.
One piece of evidence, a lady's diamond engagement ring, also led to spot conclusion.
Mr. Audrey Rochester, you are our thief.
You haven't proven anything!
Confess, Audrey, you've carried a resentment towards Blanche ever since Edward broke off his engagement with you 10 years ago. You feel that all those diamonds and riches and whatnot that Blanche now possesses should rightfully belong to you. Your bitterness has grown over the years until finally you decided to exact your revenge upon the Fairfaxes.
We found your engagement ring from Edward, the one you wear a little chain around your neck, behind the couch. You probably didn't realize it was missing until the next morning. By then it was too late.
It was very careless of you to show off your ring to one of those maids.
Audrey, is this true? You've stolen my wife's necklace? And you still keep the ring I gave you?
Yes, Eddie, it's true. I deserve the life that Blanche lives, the wealth, the fame, the travel. She took it all away from me.
I can't believe this.
I can. O'Doyle, take the lady down to the station. Black, go search Miss Rochester's room. I'm sure you'll find the necklace somewhere.
Please go!
Just one thing we can't figure out, and it's bothering me. It's that handkerchief with the initials SA on it. Can't figure out who it belongs to.
I can answer that.
The mysterious Miss X, so you finally tried to find him now.
He must be S.A., Chief.
I'm not.
Oh, Chief, I'm sorry. She looks massive.
I'm not S.A., but I'll tell you who is. Stanley Larson.
That's him.
Or should I say, Stanley L. Arson. England's notorious arsonist.
That's absurd.
Wait, hey, you better explain yourself before you start handing out accusations.
I'm Secret Agent X. I've been following the activity of Mr. Arson for several months now, and I finally have enough evidence to put him away for a very long time.
You have a handkerchief with some initials on it. You can't possibly incriminate someone with that. Besides, has there been any fires since I've arrived?
Well, there have been a few in the kitchen. But that's ever since Basil started cooking.
Mr. Clifford, if all had gone according to plan, there would have been more than just a few kitchen fires, wouldn't there?
I'm sure I don't know what it means.
Miss X, please stop stalling and explain yourself.
Chief Whitfield, let's re-examine Henry Clifford and Stanley Arson, possible motives for stealing a diamond necklace.
Well, during our investigation, it became clear that Henry Clifford's hotel business was in a very great deal of financial bind. Didn't have much cash, and Mr. Larson, I should say, couldn't pay his hotel bill. He didn't have any cash on hand.
And didn't it strike you as a bit odd that Mr. Clifford simply allowed Mr. Arson to stay at his hotel without requiring a cent from him, especially since he needed the money?
Well, yes, that did cross my mind.
You see, Henry Clifford's hotel business was running poorly, so he decided to invite famous and wealthy people to his hotel in hopes to get more business. When this didn't work, he hired Stanley Arson to set fire to his hotel so he could collect the insurance money and relieve himself from a struggling business.
What does advertising bid work? Blanche character, aren't we?
Yes. But Henry here could count on that. He had already hired Stanley when you showed up. He couldn't very well have the hotel burned down with you here now, could he?
I'm glad he didn't.
George, arrest Mr. Clifford. Miss X, I'll leave Awesome to your charge.
Unless I didn't do anything.
Basil, if you don't tell me where that necklace is, I swear I'll bring your bloody neck.
I told you, Mr. Detective, I don't have necklace. Here it is.
Thank you, Detective. I didn't think I'd never see it again with all these crooks around.
I told you we'd find it. Where was it, officer?
In Miss Rochester's suitcase. She was all packed up and ready to leave.
Miss Rochester's suitcase? That's what was it doing there?
Thornton, you're a washout. I'm going to give your award to the police department for their fine work.
But I solved the case first.
You accused the wrong person, Thornton. Why don't you join me and my officers down at the station? We have a lot of paperwork to go over. Oh, and by the way, I'm sure we could all use some tea and crumpets. Oh, by the way, we'll expect weekly delivery.
That was not part of the deal.
Pip, you've got to learn to read the fine print, man.
Well, it seems like we'll be staying in another hotel tonight. We should probably go collect our bags.
Good job, Officer. Good job for solving the case. You're much better. You forward your
Definitely
Shady.
pause for business, thanks.
Well, looks like we're unemployed. Unemployed? It means we're out of a job, Basil. Basil. No job?
No job.
No money.
Excuse me, I couldn't help overhearing, but if you're interested, Blanche and I need some new hired help. She kind of fired our before we left home.
I'm sure we'd love to work, Mr. Fairfax.
Edward, am I to understand that you just hired these people?
If you do recall, we do need some new hired help. Don't worry, it'll keep Basil out of the kitchen.
Basil!
Basil.
Basil!
But in the meantime, let's go to discuss salaries in the car.
Hey, where is everybody? You can't ever get any decent service in this hotel.
Festivities. I hope you all have a very pleasant evening. Many good wishes.